There's a moment, right before you fall for someone, where something feels familiar. Not safe, not peaceful, familiar. And somehow that feeling pulls you closer. You don't notice it at first, it just feels like chemistry, like intensity, like this person matters more than the others. But then slowly, it starts to hurt. You're the one waiting for replies, the one replaying conversations, the one wondering if you did something wrong. And somewhere in the middle of all that overthinking, a quiet question shows up. Why does this keep happening to me? Why do you keep choosing people who make you feel unwanted? It's not because you're weak, and it's definitely not because you like being hurt. It's because, in a strange way, your brain is trying to take you home, not your physical home, but your emotional one. See, the way we experience love as adults often mirrors what we learned growing up. Not what we were told about love, but what we felt. If love felt consistent, safe, and warm, then you're more likely to be drawn to that. But if love felt unpredictable, distant, something you had to earn, then your brain quietly starts associating love with uncertainty. And here's the twist no one talks about. Your mind doesn't chase what's healthy. It chases what's familiar, even if that familiarity hurts. That's why someone who gives you just enough attention to keep you hoping feels more exciting than someone who shows up fully. Because uncertainty creates emotional intensity, and emotional intensity can feel like love, even when it's not. Psychologists call this an attachment pattern, but you don't need to know the term to understand the feeling. It's the pull toward people who are hard to reach, the urge to prove yourself to someone who isn't choosing you, the quiet belief that if you just try a little harder, maybe this time it will be different, but it rarely is. Because the pattern isn't really about them, it's about a story you've been carrying for a long time. A story that says love has to be earned. That being chosen is something you fight for. That your worth depends on how much someone else is willing to give you. And when someone pulls away, it doesn't just feel like rejection, it feels like confirmation. Like, see, this is what always happens. And that's where the cycle tightens. You try harder, you give more. You shrink parts of yourself just to keep them close. Until one day, you wake up feeling exhausted and strangely invisible, still hoping, but also slowly disappearing. And here's the part that might be hard to hear. The more unwanted you feel, the more your brain can mistake that feeling as something worth chasing. Because deep down, there's a part of you that believes, if I can finally make this person choose me, then maybe I'll finally feel enough. But that moment never really comes, because no one can fix a feeling that wasn't created by them in the first place. And this is where everything can start to change, not when you find the right person, but when you start noticing the pattern. When you catch yourself being drawn to someone who feels just out of reach. And instead of chasing, you pause. When you realize that the spark you feel might not be connection, but recognition. Recognition of something old, something unresolved, something that no longer deserves to control who you become. Because the truth is, love isn't supposed to feel like a constant question. It's not supposed to leave you guessing your worth, and it's definitely not supposed to make you feel like you have to earn your place in someone's life. Real love feels different, quieter, steadier, less like a roller coaster and more like solid ground. But if you've spent years getting used to emotional chaos, peace can feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable. And that's the real challenge, learning to choose what feels right, even when it doesn't feel exciting at first. Learning to walk away from people who trigger old wounds instead of trying to heal them through someone else. And maybe most importantly, learning to stop asking, why don't they want me? And start asking something much more powerful. Why do I keep choosing people who can't? Because the moment that question becomes real to you is the moment the pattern begins to break. Not all at once, but slowly, quietly, until one day you find yourself choosing differently. Not because you forced it, but because for the first time, you finally believe you deserve to be chosen. And when that happens, you stop chasing love that feels like rejection and start recognizing the kind that never made you question yourself in the first place.